Today we're going to see if the beer that started it all can also beat the beer that's riding on its coattails. Hello and welcome to another video on JD's Booze Reviews. Today we are trying BrewDog's Punk IPA and putting it against Aldi's Anti-Establishment IPA. Both are 5.4% IPA, because the Aldi one is trying to imitate it, if you couldn't guess by the two cans. But yeah, I thought this is a good opportunity to talk about the recent news that came out about BrewDog in the last sort of weeks and months. See how I kind of feel about it, talk about how I feel about it, talk about, everything that's gone off in the past couple of weeks and months, and kind of seeing if, as well as that, whether the actual beer is, it's definitely not what it was, but is the cheaper knockoff version better? So, lots to talk about in this video. Strap in for the ride, and I think we're going to need a beer or two to digest it. So we will start with the original, the BrewDog Punk IPA. So, yeah, that is what I would expect Punk IPA to look like. Sort of slightly, not quite into a sort of amber territory, but it is quite dark for some IPAs. You can get, they are often a little bit lighter than this nowadays. But yeah, it kind of does look, it kind of does look a little bit like a lager in a way. It's got that sort of lager, distinct lager coloration to it in a way. Very little in carbonation from looking at the glass. Decent head retention. Looks like quite an inviting beer initially. Smells like Punk IPA. Smells like the Punk IPA I have had many of. As a sort of background, I am a equity for Punk, or whatever you want to call them these days, an equity Punk. Got quite a lot of shares in BrewDog. So the fact that I've seen them sort of decrease as years have gone on is pretty disheartening. And yeah, I don't really have anything to do with them now. I haven't probably drank a BrewDog beer in some time. I've probably been given a 4-pack just because someone knows I like beer and it goes, you like beer, have a BrewDog. And sometimes I'm going, is that kind of how they're holding on to their money at the moment? But they are massively in the red at the moment. I think it was fairly recently announced that the £37 million pre-tax loss, which is actually better than the year before of like a £59 million pre-tax loss. So it's going up, still massively in the red though. Anyway, let's try this. Wow. It has been a long time since I've had Punk IPA. That aroma, I didn't really speak about the aroma. It's quite nice and sort of citrus and piney, and yeah, it's literally smelled it and was like, that is Punk IPA. But I've tasted this. And there's not a lot of anything. That is watery. I'm getting very little back in terms of flavour. It's just getting a very slight hint of a citrusy sort of flavour, but very, very, very slight. at the end of the flavour journey, really. Just as it fades away off the palate, I get this slight citrusy. There's a alright bitter sort of flavour to it if you let it linger in your mouth for a while. And if I do that a bit longer, I do start to get them flavours a little bit more, but I've really got to work hard for this beer. A beer you shouldn't have to drink a beer and have to work hard for it to taste enjoyable. It should just be something you don't even have to think about. Yeah, I mean, it's just not what it was. Punk IPA used to be an incredible beer. It used to have so much flavour, packed full of aroma. Packed full of aroma. The aroma's basically gone now. I am not getting much from this beer at all. Let's really work it hard. It's having to work hard again. I've literally got my nose right to it. I'm getting nothing. That is just a shadow of its former self. I mean, yeah. Came out, again, a couple of months ago that BrewDog had lost its sort of position in 2,000 pubs, or around 2,000 pubs in the UK. Taken off taps, replaced for other choices. And I can see why. Let's be honest, Punk IPA is going to be the beer that's gone, right? I know there was occasionally Elvis juice and that kind of stuff that was in pubs, but Punk IPA was the ship it around pubs and it goes down well, or at least it used to. But yeah, if this is how it tastes even on draft, it is a disappointing pint, to say the least. There's nothing IPA about it. Like I said earlier, it's fairly lagery. Like, it's something you can just sit and drink and not really have to worry about flavour. More like a first quencher, even though beer doesn't quench first because of its nature. But it is just sort of like it is more lager-like than an IPA. It is a very, very, very disappointing beer. Yeah. I mean, it's made me feel quite sad, because I think Punk IPA was the craft beer that got me into beer. I mean, at least the sort of craft side. I think my very first beer was a pint of cask, which is why I've got this love for it nowadays. If I could get a beer engine in my kitchen, I would. It's been tempting me. Anyway, but Punk IPA, BrewDog as a whole, was probably the brewery that got me into the sort of craft side of things and exploring all the other craft breweries that there are. So yeah, tasting this beer as it is now, just, yeah, a little bit depressing. And I just feel down drinking this, because it's just like knowing what used to be and knowing what you get now. It's just dreadful. I'm trying to be I don't normally be negative in these videos, but that is just, nothing has excited me about drinking that glass. That is the downright truth. So should we see if the Audi one can do any better. Right, anti-establishment IPA. I mean, more carbonation. I think a lighter colour. Let me just pour out a little bit more. Maybe not, actually. Maybe not. Yeah, maybe not. Doesn't smell like Punk IPA, this one. Not a great aroma. It smells quite gassy, farty, sulphury. Yeah, not much excitement going on there. And look at how quick that head retention has gone. I mean, this was... I don't know what I was expecting in this video. I had a feeling that the Punk IPA was going to be pretty... not great. But... I mean, from what we've seen on first sort of glance and first sort of inspection, I mean, like, the head has literally just gone. Wow. Yeah, with this sort of sulphury, farty aroma. No sort of hops going on there. Let's see. I bet it's got to taste better, right? Okay, don't know what this beer is trying to be, but it's not Punk IPA. Or even a half attempted clone. That's quite malty. Malt forward. Biscuity. Yeah, very, very malty and sort of... You can get that malt bill. Wow, it literally tastes like I've munched on some wheat. Like I've had some Weetabix. Yeah, I mean, for that trying to be Punk IPA, I mean, it's been out for a while, this beer. Came out quite a while ago when I guess BrewDog was a little bit more relevant. But yeah, wow, that is just an interesting flavour. Wow, that is... Feels more like a British sort of IPA than like an American IPA that Punk IPA is. Yeah, it's meant to be golden coloured with a white foamy head. Mouthfeel full-bodied, which it does. It is more full-bodied than Punk IPA, to be fair. American hopped grapefruit aroma. Are you sure that it's not supposed to be Elvis juice? Definitely looks like Punk IPA. Definitely got better body. Yeah, better body. But again, that just tastes like... If you've ever had hot water, what brewery does hot water? Siren, I think, done hot water before. Basically, hop infused soda water. Not a million miles off. Anyway, back to the anti-establishment IPA. IPA? No, I'd question that. I mean, it smells almost like a Belgian sort of wit beer. It's got. I am sort of getting like almost like cloves or something like that now. This is a very odd beer. I mean, it's slightly more intriguing than Punk IPA. I'm getting a bit more intrigue off it. I'm still not sure whether I like it. I mean, see how much carbonation was coming off the beer earlier. It doesn't taste very carbonated. I'm not getting many like balls on the tongue, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Interesting. I'm getting more maltiness, not very much. I suppose saying this grapefruit, I am getting sort of like a weird sweetness going on with it. I wouldn't say grapefruit. Almost something that's gone wrong in the brewing process. Like a... Yeah, maybe it has. Maybe something's not quite right here. I'm not quite getting Werther's Originals, which is the taste of a bad beer, or similar taste to a bad beer. It's close. It is sort of caramelly. So yeah, maybe something not quite right here. I mean, before I close out the video, another point I wanted to make about the BrewDog stuff was recently, obviously you probably know BrewDog's got bars absolutely everywhere. Yeah, earlier in the year they had to close 10 bars like immediately. It was announced. And then like sort of next day and week, 10 bars shut across the UK. Some in London, some up north, you know, that kind of stuff. Even the flagship Aberdeen bar closed, which was classic BrewDog. I mean, graffiti sharks all over the walls and all sorts. It was a great little space that I did manage to go to. But yeah, they've all shut. So clearly even the bar side of the business isn't doing great. And if I'm honest, I don't go into BrewDog bars that often now, but if I do, I usually go for something off the guest list, which is kind of telling. The fact that someone who's spent quite a bit of money on BrewDog decides to actively avoid BrewDog makes you think something's not quite right there. Whether it's all the controversy stuff, that's kind of a big thing for me. All the sort of workplace mistreatment and that kind of stuff, that definitely hits quite hard. And the fact that they were messing about with what they were brewing before. They used to brew out really incredible, interesting stuff. I've got loads of BrewDog beers in my little stash from years ago that are interesting and different and unique. But now it just seems to be the same beers with different labels. And that is really good for a mass market, you know, but for maintaining a persistent customer base that's interested and actively invested in what that brewery is putting out, definitely you lose that loyalty there. So whatever they're trying to do, whatever they are trying to go for, hopefully they pull something together and get out of this slump that they're in, because I would hate to see them disappear, because I think they have brewed some amazing beers in the past. They just need to get back to that mentality of just brewing what they want to brew rather than brewing what makes the shareholders happy, or what makes, you know, the top level sort of investors happy. But anyway, I have probably talked on this video for way too long. Something that I am pretty passionate about, as I say, having shares in them, kind of had a interest in what they were doing. And yeah, the fact that even I, and probably many other equity punks, have gone their separate ways from BrewDog, probably tells you more than I could say in this video. So that is going to do it for today. Thank you very much for watching. In terms of the question of which beer beat which, I'm not sure, if I'm honest. The Punk IPA was nothingness. Yeah, not a great deal going on with that. But the anti-establishment one did not taste anything like it was trying to be. Didn't even feel like it was trying to imitate at all. Obviously, probably the branding is a key part of it, because you buy with your eyes before you buy with your lips or your mouth or your taste buds, because, you know, you've already spent the money by that point. But the anti-establishment IPA did have some very interesting points going to it, but part of me is like, there's something gone wrong in the brewing process. And that could be quite possible. The fact that I'm not saying that Punk IPA has absolutely stormed ahead and won, obviously, clearly. Again, probably sums up a lot. But anyway, I'm going to stop talking, otherwise this is going to be like a 40-minute video. I will see you on the next video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can see next videos when they come out. And I will see you for the next one. Cheers.